What's up guys, this is Miasin and today we'll be going over the OCG metagame breakdown number 3, and before that we're gonna quickly review the Asia Campus League 2024 Singapore. I don't understand why it's called Asia Campus League 2024. Why? Is there like a reason behind that? Maybe it started in 2024. This is post-Alliance Insight, whereas this one, it's before the new set. Primite BlueEyes, nothing super interesting here other than the fact that main decking 3 Nibiru and Ghost Bell, very interesting. And this is a 40 card deck because I'm seeing more and more Blue-Eyes deck lists that are going over 40 now. Not to go at like 50, but like 42, 43, etc. Malice with the new support from Alliance Insight is looking really scary. So this is the hair something, I forgot. It replaces Dotscaper. You don't even need that card anymore, which is, again, very concerning. And then we're also seeing the new Administer monster, which is extremely broken. Is that the wizard or something? I forgot. But yeah, this card makes Cyanide Mining infinitely better in the deck, and the Quickly spell card allows your Red Ransom to search something other than just a field spell, even though I don't really think the Quickly spell is that great. The new hair monster, whatever, it's kind of like a built-in bestial monster in your deck, but it's a Malice bestial, and it obviously only banishes your own cards. But yeah, this deck is looking very scary, which is the reason why we're seeing freaking Artifact Lancia in the main deck now in Blue-Eyes, which I can't believe is happening. And also so much hate against Malice. 2 Chaos Hunter, 3 Furrows, 2 Meows. They do not get to breathe. It's actually insane. And this deck searches Artifact Lancia. It has 7 Tachyon, 7th Ascension, 3 Lancia, so that's 8 copies of Lancia when you're going first. And then billions of hand traps, 3 Nibiru, 3 Furrows, 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, 2 Ogre, 2 Maxi, 3 Imperm. So that's 6, 9, 11, 13, 16 hand traps, and then 3 more non-engine cards and a lot of consistency cards. Yeah, this deck is looking very annoying. I think Pot of Desires is extremely ballsy when you're only playing 1 X-Raziel and 1 Node, so if you go activate Desires and then you banish 1 copy of each, you kind of just lose the game. You're not gonna be doing much of anything now. You go normal summon Ice, Special Sword, search Ice, pass. No, actually you can search the new monster and then search set your field spell. The field spell is so good that you're actually trying to set it now. Nothing really worth looking into in here, so we're actually going to go straight into the OCG metagame breakdown. And this is where the video starts. In other words, this is where I gotta plug in everything that I usually do at the very start of my videos. Friendly reminder, of course, to smash the like and subscribe button and to check out my CRYSTRON spreadsheet. It is absolutely beautiful. If you were looking into playing the deck, I really recommend checking it out because it has every information that you need. And just in case you had no idea what the spreadsheet included before, here is the promo. So just in case you didn't know much before, the spreadsheet has absolutely all the info you need if you are planning on building the CRYSTRON deck, which is the best deck that is coming out of Supreme Darkness. My spreadsheet features visual support, which includes images and videos while being easy to understand, regardless of whether or not you had prior experience with the deck. It comes with 50 combos that show the most optimal lines when you are interrupted, but also through hand traps such as Ash, Imperm, every Molchami monster, Dimension Shifter, as well as Artifact Lancia. Best part is, every combo comes with their own notes so that you can understand what's going on. This spreadsheet also comes with a YCS ready decklist containing my in-depth reasoning on every card and ratio so that you don't get confused and know exactly what to buy. And if you ever encountered issues with sighting patterns, I got you because I also cover going first and going second sighting patterns against 15 decks of the metagame. This spreadsheet also covers some alternative techs and engines that could be worth exploring the deck, as well as their pros and cons. Having access to the spreadsheet also grants you access to an ever-growing Discord community of like-minded CRYSTRON players, and also access to me, where I can answer specific questions and share updates with you. Speaking of updates, I'm even willing to add additional sections and combos to the spreadsheet if I'm asked to, and you won't have to pay again to benefit off of these updates. I'll be fully honest with you, if you're interested in CRYSTRON, this spreadsheet will not only save you hundreds of hours of theory and practice, but also a lot of money. You won't have to make unnecessary purchases since you'll already have access to an optimal deck list, and you're not gonna have to spend your days and nights coming up with combos. Also, every time you forget about a combo, you can just go back to the spreadsheet and check it out to refresh your memory. If you're interested in the spreadsheet, all you have to do is PayPal me $20 US, and make sure to state your Gmail account in the transfer so that I know who to share the spreadsheet with. If you forgot to state your Gmail in the transfer, don't worry, just email me a proof of payment with your Gmail, and I'll share the spreadsheet with you as soon as I can. Unless I'm sleeping, I should never take too long to grant you access to the spreadsheet, so don't worry about the delay. The specs of the spreadsheet alongside all the steps to buy it are at the top of the description, so please check it out as soon as you can. Anyways, with that said, let's get on with the video. Alright, absolutely beautiful. Anyways, let's get right into it. So Blue-Eyes, #1 best deck. Of course, it's Blue-Eyes, but it's tied with Orcus, so it doesn't really count too much. And most Orcus builds are playing with, you know, just pure Orchest, and then only 5 Fiendsmith Orchest, which I think is a little weird, because this engine does look really good to me, but whatever, it's not really relevant. They were only playing like one Lacrima, one Engraver. They weren't even like playing Tract and Lori because there's just a bunch of bricks, and you're not trying to use your normal summon on Lacrima or Lori at all. You're trying to use your normal summon on your Mechanite, Orchis, Gearsu, or Harpor. That way, if your Gearsu gets ashed, then you don't really care too much. You can still play him. Yeah, the deck really doesn't lose to Ash or Veiler or Imperm and stuff like that. Anyways, Malice, obviously this deck is always going to be there, but it's about to become even more broken, like I said. Raziel, yeah, again, this deck is also gaining a lot in popularity now, even though X-Raziel isn't one. Memento, again, another very good combo deck, doesn't really have that many weaknesses, so it's really nice. It loses to Shifter, but it is what it is. Shifter isn't, like, that popular right now, only Malice can really play it, so that's the reason why if they have the opportunity to main deck Shifter, they're gonna seize it. Then we got White Forest, yep, Chimera, Gem Knight, Dragon Maid, Atlantean, CRYSTRON best deck, I already know it, Branded, Melodious, Snake Eye, Centurion, Fiendsmith Punk. The new the new support, I was really expecting it to be, you know, so much, like, so broken that the deck would be, like, tier 1, but apparently not. It's not doing that well. Supreme King, Zark Magician, Sky Striker, Tenpai, and Voices Voice. It's so weird to see Tenpai and Voices Voice this down in the list. Like, Tenpai, I think, should be in the top 5 best decks, easily. So I don't really understand why nobody's playing the deck. And Voices Voice, I think it's just because the ceiling level is a little too low. Yeah, the deck kind of sucks going second. Anyways, BlueEyes. Okay, so an interesting tech that people are playing is Typhoon. So this can be a cute tech card against Orchest and BlueEyes, because against BlueEyes, they can you can destroy their True Light, so that the True Light will self-destruct every monster on the field, so you can do this on the end phase. The issue is, if your opponent still ended on like a Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, he can just negate the graveyard effect of True Light, so it doesn't really do all that much. That's kind of frustrating. And then you can also use True Light against Orchest on their Babel, so that on your turn, there's a lot of things that they can't do. So, for example, they can't revive back the Galatea Eye, the Link one, in order to search the World Crown, which can negate and destroy the effect of like a monster summon from the extra deck. They can't trigger the Orchest Thimble Skeleton to revive back the Dingirsu to like send one of your cards to the grave. And they can't use the effect of the Link 4 monster to steal one of your monsters. So yeah, with a Typhoon, you're actually shutting down 3 interruptions. That's actually extremely broken. Honestly, just anything that can out the what's his face, the Babel, without letting the Crescendo negate it is very good for you. So yeah, if you can do that, then you're in a great position. You're gonna have to do it on the end phase, of course. Same thing with BlueEyes. You're always using Typhoon on end phase. However, even though like Akira talked about Typhoon here, it's really just a one-of in the BlueEyes side deck, so it doesn't really matter too much. This is something that I never really liked too much with the OCG when they play unsearchable one-ofs. It's like, why? Why are you playing the one-of as an unsearchable card? If it's like a thrust target, I understand, but this is a random-ass Typhoon that you need to draw. So unless you're drawing it off of Maxi, which I think is like the only logical explanation for it, or off of like Phantasme and the Chummies that he's now playing, yeah, then otherwise, you know, yeah. So yeah, but it's still a really cool card. It's niche, but it's a cool card for sure. A lot of hand traps, huh, in the side deck. 2 Nibiru, 2 Phantasme, 3 Lancia, which I guess is also a Sanctum target. The Scythe, which I don't even understand how it can still exist. It makes no sense. The one of Drill and Logbird, of course. What did I say like only 20 seconds ago? The one of Duster, which, I mean, yeah, that card's actually limited, so that makes sense. And then the ultimate cheat cards, which really should get banned. Summon Limit got banned in Master Duel, so you know what? Why not copy them? Okay, so this build is actually very interesting, by the way. If you can look at the extra deck, there is no Crimson Dragon. It's weird. There's not even that many Blue-Eyes cards overall. There's only 2 Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, even though I like to play 3 myself. I really hate running out of this card. There's Azure Eyes, which I feel like you're never going to be summoning. Baron, okay, obviously this card only exists in the OCG, not in the TCG. So yeah, that makes sense that they're trying to play the card. Usually you're going to be making it using like a Blue-Eye Spirit and like a Veiler. Maybe in like the follow-up. I don't know, maybe. Or like, obviously not a Veiler, but like a Maiden or a Sage or whatever. You get the point. And then Moonlight, yeah, that's another interruption that you can summon off of Spirit. Same thing with the, I forgot the name of this monster, but it destroys a bunch of spells and traps on the field. It's a great card. And then when it dies, it also does something. Lina or Lina, this card is so broken when you're playing Bestials and Nibiru, because you just summon 2 bodies on the field, you summon the Lina, and then you can revive back your opponent's Detonator, and then you crash, and then you can search your deck for Maiden or Sage, and then you can play the game. So yeah, you can literally afford to break, and Lina allows you to just like come back from the game. So yeah, you can really just bridge into your engine using 2 generic monsters. It really reminds me of how Tenpai can OTK you with 0 Tenpai cards. They nib you, and then they summon like a Molchimi Foros, they make Salamangreat Elmirage, make Hita, and then crash on the nib token. search the Genroku, and then Genroku effect, and then tribute, summon the Pydra, search the Kaimen, etc. And that's like 20,000 damage, and then you're dead. Okay, Orchest is not necessarily like an interesting deck. I don't really care too much about it. I've never really been an Orchest player, so I don't have like any emotional attachment. But there's a lot of people who love the deck. Apparently, it's actually a fan favorite. A lot of people have been playing the deck when it was like tier 1, and you know, it's understandable and respectable. This deck, however, some people are doing something really cool in it. So they're playing Baldric as a counter to Orchest. And now you might be thinking, why Baldric? Why not Magnamut, Druid's Worm, and all those cards? Out of everything, it had to be Baldric, and it really does make sense, because when your opponent summons the Girsu and then uses the effect to give you a token, he's actually making the Baldric really live. So now your one of Baldric can actually use the double effect. So obviously you're banishing something from your opponent's graveyard, whatever he sent off of the Girsu, but then you're also attributing the token that your opponent gave you in order to negate, like to banish the monster that your opponent summoned. So for example, your opponent goes normal summon Girsu effect, send the Harporer, and then you go, okay, on the res, summon the Baldric, banish the Harporer before it can activate. So then your opponent goes, okay, maybe like make Knight Orcus Girsu effect, summon a token, and then you go, okay, Baldric effect, like whenever your opponent summons like the Link 1 or the Link 2, tribute the token that you gave me, and then banish your monster. That's a lot of pressure off of one card, and because of the fact that Baldric is so good, might as well play, you know, Phantasme, Nibiru, etc. I think in the TCG, since Baldric is a 3, people might actually be playing 3 Baldric against this deck. It really does make sense, and it's also extremely good in tandem with Phantasme, because you're just drawing so much. Same thing with the Molchamis, you're drawing into the Baldric, and then there's no way you lose. So if you want the ultimate counter to Orchest, I think this player managed to solve it. This is one of the most clever things I've seen in a while. And it's really funny how, like, you can turn a very reactive card into a very proactive card by leveraging the cards that your opponents, like, are using against you. Again, like, Girsu giving you a token usually doesn't matter, but with Baldric, it really does now, so that's really ingenious. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, by the way, why I don't really like Orcus too much. The reason for that is because it plays a huge amount of non-engine, so, you know, 2, 4, 7, 10, 12, 15, 17, oh, sorry, 18, and then we got 20, 21, 22. It's like 22 non-engine out of 41, which is a lot, but you don't really play a lot of one-card starters. You play 3 Harp, 3 Girsu, 3 Harp, and then the 3 Foolishes, because you're sending Crescendo, so that's 9. And then that's kind of it. You got like your Semble Skeletons, which are like semi-starters. They don't really do much by their own. And then you got like Orcus Nightmare with Orchestrated Return, which is like the closest thing there is to like a 2-card combo. But apart from that, if you draw like the incorrect combinations of cards, like you can easily draw too many hand traps. You can easily draw like Crescendo with the Orcus Nightmare, the Crown, the freaking World Wand, and like another hand trap. And then you're like, bro, what the frick is this hand? Like, it does absolutely nothing. And because of that, I don't really trust pure Orchest as a deck to really get me there for like 17 rounds of tournament. I think BlueEyes is infinitely more streamlined, infinitely more simplified. You understand like what are the combinations of cards that work with each other, and you can build your deck around, you know, those ratios and stuff. So that's the reason why everybody's always playing like 15 starters, you know, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and then they're also playing, you know, a bunch of hand traps as well. So I think Blue-Eyes has a much superior edge, and it also loses to less things than Orcus. Like Orcus, it gets bodied by Lancia, it gets bodied by Chaos Hunter, Phantasme, Bestios, freaking everything, you name it. Like it demolishes this deck. But yeah, again, it sides even more hand traps, which I think is kind of overkill. Like, what the hell are you siding out? Are you siding out like your Crescendo? You can only side out one, otherwise Foolish Barrel Goods is going to be dead, and then you're going to have 0 consistency. I don't really understand why the OCG doesn't play, you know, Perulia, or at least 3 Nialis, because I think that this card is cracked against Malice. It's extremely unfair, and you also might as well play 3 Lancia. It's completely broken. Again, like, this card is going to be your best friend against Lancia and Orchest, and this card is going to be really broken against Malice, like to the point where you can afford to brick, and this card is single-handedly going to carry you. So I really do not understand it whatsoever. This deck is about to change off of the new support from Alliance Insight, so yeah, whatever you see here, it's completely irrelevant. I really do not care. But yeah, all this just to say that Solem Strike is a card that is now being cited, I guess. I don't know if it still is. Oh, actually it is! Okay, so Solem Strike is a trend that managed to survive the test of time. And the reason why this card is good is because if your opponent goes normal summon Girsu effect and you strike the shit out of that, the only way your opponent can play is by either having Foolish Burial into Harp, or having Orchestrated Return with like an Orchest monster in the hand or something like that. There's really no other extenders in the deck. This deck is extremely, you know, susceptible to Solem Strike. When you think about it, there's a lot of normal summons. There's 9 normal summons. There's no extra extenders unless your normal summon goes through. A huge issue for Orchest, and Malice can easily capitalize off of that because the interruptions are very proactive. You don't have to wait like 10 years because if your opponent like summons a monster, you can immediately banish it with your MTPO7 or your Hearts of Cryptor, and then your opponent gains absolutely no value. You can't even get the Harp Ore in the graveyard to make the Link 1 and then use that effect. Nah. I think Orchest is a deck that is mechanically incredibly weak going second if it is built this way, but in the TCG you can be very creative. You can play with the Fiendsmith engine, you can play maybe with the Kashtira engine. I definitely do not recommend the Horus engine. That engine is mega copium, absolute dog shit. And there's a very good reason why nobody is playing the Horus engine. Again, those cards are shit. They're just bad. And it's not even that I don't like what they provide. It's just that I don't like the engine itself. The engine is problematic because you're playing 3 Imseti, which is the only good card, but it's bad to draw in tandem with other Horus monsters, except if you're drawing Imseti, Happy, and no Sark. If you draw Sark, it's pretty bad, honestly. If you draw Happy, it is horrendous, like extreme trash. So, yeah, and again, you get punished when you draw way too many of them. I don't know. And even if it resolves, it's not that great. It makes you lose to, like, hand shabs that I don't think you should be losing to. It makes you lose to Ash for no good reason, unless you're discarding, like, Harp Ore, in which case, yeah, that's pretty broken. But, no, yeah, there's definitely better engines that you can play in Orchest. Yeah, no, this Malice deck really feels like a bestial turbo deck because there's 3 freaking Saronir. You don't need Lubellion and Regained when there's only one of them. Regained, you're playing one anyways. And yeah, all the good bestials pretty much are limited. So the only thing that's left is Saronir, which is kind of shit. But again, this deck is going to change drastically I mean, right now, actually, it already changed. So the only thing that we really should be looking into is potentially citing Solem Strike on the next in the next format. But yeah, even in the Malice Mirage, this card is broken. You can strike the Red Ransom, and then it's pretty much a turn skip, really. Okay, so Raziel really got hindered, and this whole text is just to explain how Small World can be a great way to get your stuff going. So with pretty much anything you can bridge into your engine, that's cool and all, but I don't really care too much. And also X Raziel going to 1. Basically just means that the follow-up play of this deck is insanely bad. Because now you go Ice, Special Summon Sword, Sword Summon Ice, and then Ice Summon Node, and then you make your Duo Drive, you get stopped on the Duo Drive, you make your Detonator, you pass turn. Your opponent normal summons anything, makes a Typhon, run over the Duo Drive, bounce back the Detonator, and then you have, like, even if you top deck like an Ice Raziel, this time what you're gonna do is normal summon Ice Raziel, effect, summon the Sword, Sword, effect, search another Ice. That's absolute garbage. And then again, if the Duo Drive still gets stopped, this time you actually lose for real. Completely screwed. Your only win condition is gonna have to be like plug in, revive back the second Duo Drive to pray to God that it resolves to Surge the Field spell, which again is the reason why the Field spell is now played at 2. First of all, because some people are playing Desires, but also it's because this card needs to like be in your hand. It needs to eventually like be hard drawn if you can't get access to it with Duo Drive. But the reason why Raziel is gaining a lot in popularity is because a lot of people are cutting Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler, as you know, since they're really bad against Orchest. Imperm, you can say, is still seeing play, but Veiler, unless like you're playing BlueEyes, which in this deck it has inherent synergy, nobody's really playing Veiler. Like even if they could, you know, we're seeing a bunch of hand shops. We're not seeing Veiler. And the Raziel deck, it loses a little harder to Veiler than any other deck just because the Duo Drive kind of has to resolve if you want to have a grind game. Otherwise, your deck really just loses to like normal summon like a Molchemy monster, and that makes you look really pathetic. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of Raziel as it currently stands with only one Ice Raziel, X Raziel. This card was unfair. It really had to get limited, and I think that's a really good W from Konami. If we can get something similar in the TCG where X Raziel and Bonfire get limited, I'm gonna be very happy. I think Raziel doesn't necessarily have to get demolished. I just want people to like have to play, you know, Raziel as a pure deck and also as a nerfed deck. Because if Raziel is like super broken with everything a 3, and you can also play every engine in the entire universe, that's obviously way too broken. That's even worse than Snake Eyes, I think, because you play even more non-engine in the deck, I believe. And the deck is just a little more flexible in the way you can deck build, but there's also way less bricks in Raziel than they were in Snake Eyes. In Snake Eyes, you have to play a lot of dog shit cards. And also, you can get really unlucky and draw like double Populist and Snake Eye Ash, and that way your hand is just like so much worse. But in this deck, there's really no like terrible cards to draw. Like, yeah, sure, you can draw the Field Spell, you can draw Plugin, you can draw Node, but as soon as you draw one of your one-card starters, then all of a sudden, these cards are no longer bricks anymore. But yeah, anyways, all of this is just to say that cutting Effect Veiler and Imperm made Raziel a little better, and also people are probably back to playing Imperm in order to beat Raziel, but that's gonna make their Orchest and Malice matchup way worse, just because, again, Imperm Veiler against this deck, it does absolutely nothing. Even if you Imperm the Dormouse, your opponent just links one for the Link Decoder, and then Bestial banished, the Dormouse comes back, you make a red ransom, and you literally full combo from there. It does nothing. You can get double impermed, and if you have like a Bestial and Dormouse, it really doesn't change anything to your life. This deck is mega ultra super resilient. It's extremely sad. You guys let me know how you feel about the OCG format in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon with another video. Peace.